Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to episode 5 of No Holds Barred. I'm sorry there was no episode last week, it's just that I was quite busy and I didn't really find last week's Raw too interesting. Nothing really happened. The show was just so slow purely because of the way they placed the matches. There were like 3-4 matches in a row which were completely pointless and it just completely switched me off the show. I just couldn't be asked to watch it. But I did catch the previous Raw from this Monday, which was a bit more newsworthy because we found out a little bit more about the Shield. Now, with no holds barred, from now on, I'm not going to review the whole 3 hours of the show. I'm just going to literally go through the major storylines and talk about what I find interesting instead of going through and picking apart every match, every promo, every character's push. Nah, I'm not going to do that. It just drags it out too much. And to be honest, Raw isn't really that interesting at the moment. There's only a few things which interest me. The thing that interests me the most about Raw and probably wrestling in general throughout all the other promotions really is the Shield. There was an interview. Michael Cole, he interviewed Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. We found out a bit more about them. They are a Shield. They are the Shield. They jump in whenever they feel there's injustice in the WWE, and they said they don't care who they attack. They said they could have attacked CM Punk if they thought he'd done wrong. They attacked Ryback because he thought, or the Shield thought that Ryback was in the wrong, and they needed to correct that wrong. Now, Dean Ambrose seems to be the leader of the group. He does most of the talking in the interviews. He seems to be the focal point of all the attacks, and he always stands in the middle when they celebrate, which is a clear indication he's the leader. Roman Reigns is obviously the enforcer. He's the big lad. He ain't going to say much. In the interview, he said, when I want something to be said, I'll say it. And that was literally all he said throughout the whole interview. But Seth Rollins seems to be the guy in the middle, you know what I mean? He doesn't seem to be a leader, but he doesn't seem to be the guy at the back. He seems to be like the middleman of the group, you know. But I think it's really interesting with groups. I mean, Dean Ambrose said it in the interview. He goes, if you're looking for a new NWO, a new Nexus, go buy the DVDs. We're completely separate from all of that. We're just going to attack whoever we want. I don't care who you are. Basically saying if you're a good guy, you're a bad guy, we don't care. We'll attack you if there's some kind of injustice. We are a shield of justice. And I like their look. They're all dressed in like SWAT or riot gear, like all black with like what seems to be like body armor, bulletproof vests, and like the camo boots, the camo trousers. They look the business, and I think the three of them are quite good. Quite good. Dean Ambrose has been the best guy on the independent scene for years, and I think if he's given the correct storylines, the correct times, the correct bit of spotlight, he will outshine anybody on that microphone. During his independent days and some of his NXT or FCW stages, he had like a bit of a Heath Ledger's Joker character about him. He played the unstable, shaky lunatic. Just the way he cuts his promos, the way he talks, the way he has his hair, the way he sort of leans in his chair when he talks. He reminds you of Heath Ledger's Joker, which I think is brilliant because he pulls it off really well, but it's not a complete rip-off. It only slightly reminds you of him. Seth Rollins, former ROH champion. He used to go by the name of Tyler Black. He is currently the NXT World Champion. I mean, I've not watched NXT for a while, so I'm not sure if they've actually kept that title on him. Probably not. But he's a really good worker. Like I said, Tyler Black from Ring of Honor. And he needs to work a little bit on his promo skills. I hope they go easy on him and don't give him too much, because that's probably the weakest part of his game. But he's tremendous in the ring, as is Dean Ambrose. Roman Reigns, I don't know an awful lot about him, I'll be honest. I do know that he's Rosie's brother. For those of you that remember Hurricane and Rosie, Rosie used to be in 3-Minute Warning, then he was the Hurricane sidekick. He's his brother. He used to be I can't remember what position, but Roman Reigns used to play American football, so he's got that sports background that WWE seem to love, and he's a big lad. And the ladies seem to love him already. In the interview, if you watch the first time they showed the interview, because they showed it like 3 times, if you watch the first interview, when the camera pans out to Roman and he says, when I want something to say, I'll say it, you just hear ladies scream. They seem to love him straight away. But I think he's going to be like the Batista of the group. He's obviously the enforcer, but will he break out like Batista? I mean, they've been saying on NXT for a while, I must admit I've not caught a lot of it myself with Roman Reigns, but they have been saying he's like a future WWE champion. There's a lot of potential around him. I think it was Tom that actually said that to me in Skype as well once they heard him say that. But, you know, if they do if they do it right with Roman Reigns, there's no reason he can't break out like a Batista. But I think all three of them have breakout potential. Usually with groups, there's only one or two that may break out, like Wade Barrett from Nexus. Then you had The Rock from Nation of Domination, JBL from the Acolytes. You know, there's usually only one breakout star. But I think all three of these guys have major breakout potential. We'll have to see how it goes. They've attacked Ryback and they've attacked Kane, and it always seems to leave CM Punk standing tall in the ring. So it's still up for debate. Are they actually Punk's boys or Heyman's boys? You know, it's still not been fully confirmed whether they're independent or not. Chances are they're Paul Heyman guys, you know, because they're really pushing out this I'm a Paul Heyman guy thing right now. So we'll have to see what happens, but I'm really excited to see what happens at TLC. Are they going to intervene at TLC? Which takes me on to the next subject. The main event for TLC has been booked. It's going to be a TLC match between Punk and Ryback. Now, Punk has 2 pay-per-view wins over Ryback. Not clean wins, but they're wins. And with The Rock coming for the Rumble, I just cannot see them doing Ryback versus The Rock. Just cannot see it. So it needs to be Punk winning at TLC, but Ryback needs to stay strong. You know, you've been building Ryback up as a monster for months, what seems like a year. You've been building him up for ages and ages and ages and ages, only to get beaten 3 times in a row by CM Punk and made to look like a complete twat. You know, they're killing his momentum. They need to be careful. The finish for the TLC match needs to be CM Punk retaining, but it also needs to be Ryback looking strong. Now, would they dare go for the second pay-per-view in a row, the Shield intervening and doing the same thing again, perhaps putting Ryback for another table? Excuse me, I don't know. I think the Shield will be involved in some way. They'll be Jesus, excuse me. They'll be stupid not to use the Shield in any shape or form at TLC. But either way, I'm still looking forward to it. I think Punk versus Ryback and TLC, it's going to add quite a lot of drama to the match. Hopefully we'll see some cool spots. But at the end of the day, what they're going to let Ryback do with a ladder? He's not the most agile of guys. You know, he's a big dude, but he's not too agile. Like, take Brock Lesnar, for example. He was a big dude, but very agile. Goldberg, pretty big dude, pretty agile. You know, Ryback, could he do anything cool with a ladder? We all know CM Punk can. You know what I mean? He made a pretty decent career out of doing cool things with weapons and ladders and chairs and stuff. So, like, I'm not too sure how this match is going to pan out. The Hell in a Cell match, the one-on-one match between Ryback and Punk, was really slow-paced. There wasn't an awful lot going on. It seemed to be like a game of cat and mouse for most of it. Now, I can't imagine it being the same with that kind of weaponry involved at TLC. It's just going to be interesting to watch. Either way, it's got me kind of excited to see what happens, only because they've thrown the Shield into the mix. You know, for me, it's really turned the heat up, and it's really cool to see that they're starting to push new people, Ryback included. You know, I'm starting to get a little bit fed up of Ryback's gimmick. I'm starting to. You know, maybe it's because every time he cuts a promo, it's about eating and food. You know, like, if he just come down and simply said, I want to kick your ass, not feed me Shield, feed me Punk, you know, I'm hungry, feed me more. You know, like, they need to lay back on that a little bit. They need to just let him be himself. They did a little bit when Vicky Guerrero interrupted him and he's going like, shut up, Vicky, just give me my main event. You know, if they let him do a bit more of that instead of the whole corny feed me more stuff, because it's starting to come across really corny. Like, be in the middle of a promo and he'll stop talking, start waving his arms up and down like he's milking a couple of cows, screaming feed me more. You know, it's a little bit, it could get really old really quickly, and I'm worried it's going to end up going that way. But either way, Punk has to retain. That's my prediction. He's recently passed Macho Man Randy Savage. He's catching up on John Cena's, but I don't think it's going to take many more people, because if you look at the list of like longest title runs, there's a lot of big numbers up there. He won't be number one. He will not beat Bruno Sammartino. He just won't. He'll get past John Cena, and that'll be it. And fair play to him. It's still an awesome feat. Dean Ambrose said in the interview himself, you know, the fact that he's gone over a year now as champion needs to be celebrated, and that's why they attacked Ryback, because they thought he was taking the piss, you know, like the GM and Vince trying to rip the title out of his hands kind of thing. So that's why they stepped in, because they wasn't celebrating it, they were more like mocking him for it. So would they intervene? at TLC? We'll have to wait and see. Now let's move on to the next subject. I'm going to briefly talk a little bit about this whole John Cena and AJ stuff. It's starting to get worse, it's getting cornier and cornier, and the whole AJ and Cena kiss thing. Is it just me, or did it look really awkward? Like, really awkward. It looks like he doesn't know how to kiss. I know it must be awkward for them too, because AJ's got a boyfriend. I think Cena's back with his wife he was going through a divorce stage with, so I can't imagine she's too happy about this, nor is AJ's boyfriend. If I'm sat at home as AJ's other half watching her get off with Superman, I'd be kind of pissed. So there must be a little bit of awkwardness between these two, unless they really like each other, I don't know. But like, the kiss was just really awkward. John Cena looked like he didn't know how to kiss a girl. If you just need to go back and watch it, and then you'll kind of see what I mean, unless that's what you think already. But it just looks so awkward, and this storyline's getting really on my nerves. It's taking up too much TV time, and there's too much Vicky Guerrero on my TV screen, because I hate her. I really do. I get the fact she's a heat magnet. I understand she's the supervising manager or whatever they call her. I understand they've put her in that position because the crowd hate her. She's only got to open her mouth for the whole arena to boo her, and in the wrestling world that's a good thing. I get that, but it's got to a point where it's legitimately irritating. Not like, because I like bad guys, I like to boo these guys. I like to call them like horrible bastards because they're doing their job well, because they're coming off so nasty. But with Vicky, it's legitimate. It's like she actually does annoy me. It's that excuse me voice, the laugh, and the fact that she's not that good of an actress. It just comes across really corny. The only benefit for this storyline for me is the fact that it's put Dolph Ziggler in a feud with John Cena. He's been needing a really big, meaningful feud. Mind you, meaningful and John Cena doesn't really go together, but like, what I mean? He's in the main event picture, and he's getting a lot more TV time. People can start taking him seriously because he beat the shit out of John Cena in the backstage locker room, fucking gored him through the toilets, and injured his knee a little bit more, and he seems to be getting in against John Cena with some harsh digs, and I reckon somewhere down the line there might be a Dolph Ziggler AJ fling, because he does like to say things like, she was thinking of me the whole time, and like he puts his arm around her and teases her. It wouldn't surprise me if somewhere down the line it came out that AJ and Ziggler maybe at one time had a thing. That could spice things up a little bit, but that means this storyline's got to continue for that to happen. I don't want that to happen. Can we just wrap up this feud now, please? It is just bugging me. But we've got Ziggler and Cena at TLC, and they had a pretty good match on Raw as well. I must admit, I'm not a huge Cena fan. I admit, I'm sorry to those that are. It's just opinions, isn't it? But one thing I will say about John Cena, he is a big game player. When it counts, when he's in the big matches, he knows how to perform. Rock versus Cena at last year's Mania was one of the best matches I've ever seen. CM Punk versus John Cena was definitely one of the best matches I've ever seen. You have to give Cena a lot of credit for that, because he does bring the crowd into it. Fair play, the whole 5 moves of doom, get your ass kicked for 25 minutes and then come back and win, annoys me, like it did against Brock Lesnar. That was another tremendous match, but it just annoyed me that he just sprung out of nowhere. Oh, I'm alright now, I win. That annoys me, but he does add a lot of drama to every match he's in. You've got to give him all the credit in the world for that, and he is a top guy. He doesn't do the Make-A-Wish thing to be in the papers. He does it because he wants to be. He loves the business, he loves the WWE. I get that, and I've got a lot of respect for him for that. It's just his character for me sucks. It's corny, it's rubbish. His Thugonomics days were brilliant, when he would come down and he would rap against whoever is wrestling, and he would just really cuss them down and just be quite raw with it. All that was quite good, but as his character developed, the PG phase came in. They turned John Cena into Superman / Barney the Dinosaur, and it just died for me. But he has recently celebrated 10 years in the WWE, which is no sort of mean feat. You know what I mean? That's quite hard to be a big star in this company for 10 years. Rock wasn't even on the full-time roster for 10 years. He's surpassed a lot of people, and he has been involved in a lot of big matches. Let's hope this feud finishes quickly, and then Ziggler can hurry up and cash in and become World Heavyweight Champion. He needs that championship. It's got to be soon. It really has to be, because WrestleMania is coming up pretty close. We're not too far away from the next Money in the Bank. We're just waiting for the right World Heavyweight Champion to come along. So I'm predicting eventually Sheamus gets the World Championship back, but we'll talk about that later. And then Ziggler cashes in against Sheamus. We'll see. But either way, at TLC, I think John Cena's winning the match. End of. And hopefully that buries the feud. If Ziggler wins, then we're going to see more of this AJ storyline. End of that, really. Next up, really, we've got... What was the other storyline I wanted to talk about briefly? There's Big Show Sheamus, but before we do that, we're going to talk about Wade Barrett and Kofi Kingston. They're having an Intercontinental title match at TLC, which is all good, because it puts Wade Barrett in a title picture. I don't think he'll win it. Excuse me. I don't think he'll win it. I think we're set to... see Kofi Kingston retain the title at TLC, and he'll probably hold it for a while, which is a good thing, because the Intercontinental Championship has been passed around like the Council of State slag at the minute. Everyone's had a go on it, and I think you need to keep it on Kofi for a little bit, especially if you want Kofi to be taken seriously. Why beat the Miz and go through all that? Oh yeah, I've got the hunger, I've got the fire. Why go through all that just to drop the title in the next pay-per-view? You know what I mean? I think he needs to keep it so we can carry on seeing the progression of Kofi's character and his career. And I think if it's going to be Wade Barrett that stops him, I won't be too fussed. I do think it's a bit too soon to put it on Barrett from Kofi. It's just a shame that the US title is on Antonio Cesaro, because if it was on someone like Santino again or something, then yeah, you'd have Barrett beat Santino and have a lengthy US title run. But I'm happy with that being on Cesaro. That's another matter. Either way, I think at TLC, Kofi wins, and hopefully, eventually, Barrett steps up to look at the World Heavyweight Championship, because I think there's potential for a really, really good WrestleMania match. Sheamus versus Wade Barrett for the World Heavyweight Championship. That's WrestleMania caliber right there. I think they could have an incredible match for that championship. Moving on to the World Heavyweight Championship, we got the Big Slow versus the Ginger Snap Sheamus. I'm not too fussed about this, really. I mean, it's getting on my nerves. It's gone on for too long, really. And did you catch Big Show trying to demolish that steel chair? Oh, look how strong I am. Watch me smash apart this chair. Maybe. And he kind of has a massive go at it. And it takes him too long. And it took him like 3 punches to try and break it. And then he was smashing it on the floor. And it still wasn't breaking. It just looked really awkward. Michael Cole done his best. He's like, wow, look at the power. And it's just like, well, look at the lack of it. You know what I mean? It just wasn't convincing enough. But I think Sheamus chasing Big Show for the title has been quite good. He's been less comedic, less jokey. He's been a bit more serious. Sorry, I'm still trying to shake this chesty cough. It's nasty. I do apologise. Either way, I'm going to go with Big Show to retain. I almost said Sheamus there, but I think Big Show should retain, keep it for a bit longer, have him feuding with Mark Henry, and then hopefully Mark Henry gets a World Heavyweight Championship reign. Hopefully. You never know. But then again, who could Dolph Ziggler cash in against? That's one thing you've really got to bear in mind here. There's not a lot of time left on that Money in the Bank contract, and it needs to be Dolph Ziggler taking it from a face. So that's most likely going to be Sheamus or perhaps Randy Orton. It's an interesting one with me with the World Heavyweight Championship, even though that championship's lost its stature now. It's not really a major championship. I don't think it is anyway. But yeah, we're looking for a decent pay-per-view here. As far as I can remember, I don't think there's a challenger for the US Championship yet. I can't remember if there is. I'm sorry. Perhaps you can remind me in the comment section who it is. I just can't remember. I really don't know. Don't really care that much either. But one thing I will say about Antonio Cesaro from Raw just gone, he had one hell of a match against Sheamus. When I watched Raw Tuesday morning, I sent out a tweet saying Sheamus versus Cesaro, match of the night, big breakout moment for Antonio Cesaro. It was just an incredible match. That uppercut that he does is just absolutely sick. Sheamus went to do like a diving clothesline off the top rope, and then Cesaro done like a forearm uppercut when Sheamus was landing down. And it was just sick. You heard it, you saw it, and you must have felt it. It just looked absolutely brutal. It was really well done. In the end, Sheamus won by count out, and that's when Big Show had his chair moment, which was so awkward. But that was match of the night, and I'll say it's Cesaro's breakout moment because he proved that he can hang with the top carders. You know, you've been putting him in the ring with people like flipping Lord Tensai, Justin Gabriel, and the matches are crap. But you put him in a match with someone like Sheamus, and it steals the show. And I think you do have a potential world heavyweight champion in Antonio Cesaro. I really do. I've said that for quite a while now because he used to be called Claudio Castagnoli down in Ring of Honor. He was a tag team champion with Cassius Ohno or Chris Hero, whatever you want to call him. Major potential, but I think he works better as a face, and they need to drop the whole Switzerland versus USA thing with him. They need to drop that and just turn him into like an arse kicking badass basically, and stop going on about the whole rugby thing. No one in America cares about rugby. And that's pretty much everything done and dusted for No Holds Barred number 5. Now, I did say in the last episode a couple of weeks ago that I want to get a bit of a topic going per episode. So this episode's topic is, who do you want The Undertaker to face at this year's Mania if he's going to wrestle? There's rumours that he might not be ready, but then there's plenty of information to say that he is ready. So who do you want to see face The Undertaker this year? Me personally, I think there's major potential in a Wade Barrett versus Undertaker match. Now, I don't know how they're going to program that in, but I still think that would be one of the best matches that they could do. I think eventually John Cena versus Undertaker could be good. Sheamus versus Undertaker could be good. But I think the best one at the minute for me would be Wade Barrett versus Undertaker. Imagine the Barrett barrage against the Streak. I think that could be quite cool. But in the comment section, let me know who you think Undertaker's opponent should be. Or maybe not even should be. Like, what's your dream Undertaker match out of the current roster? Who do you think should go against the Streak? Obviously, keeping the streak going. They should never end that streak. But what would make for an entertaining match? And that does it for this episode. Let us know in the comment section on your thoughts of what I've spoke about in this show. What do you think of the current feuds that I've been talking about? Let us know. See you next week. Take it easy.